Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Thanks for coming to join me. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that I'm here. So welcome if this is your first time here. This is my first time as well. We're starting over together. So welcome to my channel. For my first project on this first YouTube video, on this new YouTube channel, I wanted to do something big for myself, for my own living room. And I've always wanted to have wall panels. I've always admired them everywhere I go, everywhere I see them. So I decided I can do this, I'll do this. So I did it. So I'm excited that you get to see the process, how it came together from like a little baby to where it is now. Yeah, so do enjoy. I do have some tips and tricks that I learned along the way. So if you want to see that, do watch till the end of the video. Hi everyone. So the wall we're about to paint is the one right behind me, as you can see. So before we paint it, I want to make sure that it's well prepped, it's clean, then there are no blemishes. So what I'll do is, it's already clean, that's fine. There's some nails that you can see there. That's what I want to remove. There's some on the wall which I'll remove and just cover up with some filler. The ones on this wooden thing I'll remove, but there's not much I can do about it because this is a rented house. I'm not trying to make big changes. I'll just paint over the wooden strip up there, the same color that I'm painting the entire wall. It's done. So now what I want to do is to put the filler. They're very tiny holes, so I don't need much filler. So what I have is the actual filling powder and this small metalish thing which I will use to put in the filler. Where did I get this, you ask? You didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. This was from my shoe, my very old shoe. I didn't know shoes could have metal in them until it came out of my shoe and I was shocked. Anyway, that's beside the point. It's flat enough and the holes are pretty small, so I don't need a big surface to do it. So we have the filler here and we have my metal thingy here, that's what we're going to call it. And I'm going to take just a small amount and put it in there or on top there. This is a container lid that I'll probably not use again, so it's fine. And I don't need much filler because the holes are pretty small. And I'm going to mix this with some water and give it a small mix before we put it on the wall and cover the small holes that we have there. There is the filler. So this is all I'm going to need. This is probably even more than I'll need. So let's get started. Hi everyone. It's a new day. The filler is all dried up. So what I'm going to do is just sand it down, and that's all for today. There's a lot of construction going on, so there's not much video work I can do. And also I want to give myself time to figure out what I'm painting, because initially I wanted to paint just one color for the accent wall. But I'm thinking of new ideas, which I will not say until I decide whether I'm actually doing it or not. So for today, let's just sand down the walls and have flat, clean walls. Hi! All we need for the day is sandpaper, which I got for 30 shillings, and a pair of scissors. Well, you don't need a pair of scissors, but I want to divide my sandpaper into smaller pieces because what I'm sanding down is not so much. Yeah. Okay, 3 pieces. Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on whatever time you're watching this. So today is the day that I tell you what my plan was. So as I said initially, I was to do a block color for my accent wall, but I decided to zhuzh it up a bit. So what I'm doing is wall paneling. So I want kind of like a magnificent kind of accent wall. When you walk into the room, you won't miss it. I'm not trying to make big changes, I'm excited. So currently what I have are my tools of trade down here. I've kind of just drawn an overlay of how I want the paneling to be. But what we're doing now is we're going to use this tape measure to measure the exact measurements of my wall, and then I know the amount of wood I'll need and the sizes so that my fundi can just cut it up for me. If you look at where that wooden thing is, it's so close to the ceiling, and I don't want the panel, kind of the gaps in between, to be that tiny. So it's still going to be looking a bit weird, but I've made peace with it. I'm done with the measurements. As you can see, this is the work of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, and all of that jazz. But as you can see, the wall is obviously not straight. This is to 18 centimeters. This is to 13.6 centimeters. So I'm not so sure how that's going to work out. I'm freaking out a bit about it, but I knew this problem would occur considering I'd seen that the wall is not straight. So we move regardless. So the next thing I'm going to do is purchase the wood. What I wanted to add was, as you can see, the difference between this over here and this is 72 centimeters. This is 27. So you're going to see a very big difference between the top of the wall and the bottom. Hello, it is installation day. The wood is ready, the glue is ready, everything is ready. I have to mention though, if you are planning to do this project and you purchase the wood, try to do it as soon as you purchase the wood. So put the wood on the walls as soon as you purchase them, because I purchased them yesterday, and today looking at them, they are quite curved. They form like a weird curve, which is disturbing me a bit, but we'll have to work with it. So that's a tip for if you want to do this project. The glue I'm using is this contact glue. This is glue that is mostly used for shoes. But the guy who sold me the wood told me that it would be easier to remove it once I want to remove it and I'm moving out of the house. So I trust him. Number one, this glue smells absolutely. It smells kind of like nail polish remover. And then also I'm discovering that this might be a bit too little for what I plan to do. But let's see how far it gets us. It's a failure. So you win some, you lose some. I have decided not to use the glue. It's not strong enough. So I guess I'll use nails. That's a project for tomorrow because the night is here and we have curfew. And I wasn't gonna do it anyway. So see you tomorrow. Hi guys. So there have been updates since the last time I filmed. I replaced my wooden strips since the last ones had formed a kind of curve. And then after I replaced them, I left them overnight and now they're curved again. So I'll just use what I have. Also, I had decided to use nails because the glue was a bit loose. So since I don't know how to use a drill yet, I'm learning. I've called someone to come and help me. Hi guys, the panels are on the wall. As you can see behind me, I am way beyond excited. A lot has happened since the last time I spoke to you, which was when we were installing the panels. So that's done, and I'm too excited. I'm way beyond excited. But to explain to you what happened after we installed the panels, during the installation we made sure that the nails were drilled a bit deeper into the wood so that we could have space to put the filler in and sand it down. So we're coming closer and closer to the end of the project, and today is paint day. Hey, that's why you can see I have this on my head to protect my hair from paint. I've never painted before. Everything I'm doing in this project I've never done before, so as I said, we're learning this together. I am so excited. But before that, I'm going to have to prep the place. The wall is dirty now. After all those things we did, it's a lot dusty. The filler that I sanded down is all over. So I have to do some cleaning to make sure that when I paint, it's just smooth. There are no particles of dirt anywhere. So that's what we're doing today. Hey. Back again. I'm not excited for the cleaning. I'm excited for the painting. If I could just keep this step, I would be so happy. But we can't. I have to clean. So I'm just going to clean off camera, then see you guys when I start painting. Goodbye. All the dirt I have gathered over the course of the project. This is what I want to clean up. All this is, I was trying to do the sanding. Yeah. Okay, so the wall is clean. I've cleaned it up. I've cleaned the wooden parts where I showed you. Everything is good. You should always make sure that your surface is clean before you paint it. Now, I just wanted to start prepping, and I wanted to involve everyone during my prep before I start painting. It's advisable to use newspaper, but I only found 2 of these, so I'm going to cut them up into half and hope that works for the bottom, and then I use tape for the sides, and then I have this to protect the floor so that I don't pour paint on it. I feel like I've overprotected myself during this painting. But as I said, it's my first time and I'm not getting paint all over myself, so I'm wearing an overall. Yep. Also, I put a lasso. Can you see me? Can I be seen? Also, I put a lasso on top of my chair because it's a chair I'm using and I don't want to dirtify it. So that's as far as my newspapers can go. I've done them on both corners, and now I've gotten this from my drawing book for this space. It's not going to fit, but it will have to do. So I guess we're going to do this at night because the night is dawning, but we go strong. So what I've done is I've added tape to the sides of the wall, the bottom, the top, and the area around the socket. What I'm going to start with is mixing my paint with water according to my supplier's instructions, which is half a can, half of water. So 1:1. I hope it works. If it does not, well, too bad. We're still going to have a painted wall, and that's what matters. So we're here. And it looks like a beautiful kind of setting. So what I have is paintbrush obviously. I have water to mix, and I have this thing. This was my water bottle that I felt really bad cutting up, but it's fine. And then I have this was left from the wooden strips so that I can use it to mix. Yes, let's get started. Oh, before we get started, I bought this paint because I was excited about the color. Now I'm not so sure how it will turn out, but I hope it's good. It's what I was expecting in my head. So the paint is dripping. Then I added more paint. So now let's hope it's not dripping. Because I was told when it drips, then it's not mixed right. There is the wall. The first coat of painting is done. As you can see, it's a bit weird, but also I didn't use what's it called, base coat, so I guess that's the reason it looks like this. But I'm sure the second coat will cover all these blemishes. And then this is the mess that I have created. So when I bought this thing, this black paper, I was just feeling like being fancy. And maybe one drop would fall on it. I did not expect all this. So if you're doing it for the first time, you can't be sure if you're a messy painter. Buy the paper. Yeah, it's just 100 shillings per meter. So I'm going to wait for this to dry up and then we continue with coat 2. It's finally over, guys. My accent wall is perfect. I'm pretty exhausted, but I'm so happy with how it turned out. So now we're just going to wait for it to dry. I'm not going to lie. The first coat had me panicking a bit. But the second coat has done its magic. It's so beautiful. It's amazing. And before I sign out for the night, let me just show you my mess. It is a mess down here. Can you see? This paper that I thought I wouldn't have to use is a mess. My hands are dirty, full of paint. My feet are full of paint as well because I decided not to paint with shoes. That's not a good piece of advice. Paint with shoes, guys. Paint with shoes. I just decided I don't need to wash shoes. I'll just wash my feet instead. But I'm happy. Yes, good night, guys. Leaving you with this beautiful piece of art that is my accent wall. Is up, guys. I'm so happy. I'm so pleased with the results. It's so beautiful to look at. This was a good one. It was a good project and I'm happy. Yeah, so now what I'm left to do is to clean up my mess and to remove the tapes at the sides of the wall so that we can have a clean finish. Although it's not going to be very clean because it was a bit messy, but it's not that bad. I can live with it. I'm so happy, guys. I'm so happy. Look at it. Hello. So when I said I wanted a magnificent wall that you cannot miss it when you enter the room, I was not joking. Can you see this wall? It's so beautiful. It's a piece of art on its own. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, guys. And I'm so happy that I got to do it. So these are more of lessons that I learned along the course of the project, but we're going to call them tips and tricks just because that sounds cooler. So tip number one is, if you're using glue, just make sure that your surface is pretty flat. The reason mine did not work was because my wall is very bumpy. So when I was trying to fix the top, it would disconnect at the bottom. When I connected at the bottom, it would disconnect at the top. I just could not. I was done. But then I did use glue for the top part, for the small wooden panels, because they're pretty small and it's not like the surface is not that big, so it wasn't that bumpy. But then the other trick here is that you apply a little bit of glue on the wood and a little on the wall and wait for it to dry fast before you attach the wood to the wall. Yeah, and the glue that I used, as I said before, if you've watched the video, you know the glue that I used, but I'll show you again, was this contour glue. This glue is glue for shoes, as I mentioned before. So that's the trick. Just wait for it to dry, then you just connect it. But if you're using very long strips of wood, I would recommend just use nails. It's so hard to use the glue. But you can, do your research and do the best thing for your house. Tip number two. Tip number two. Tip number two is, there is no such thing as overprotecting yourself when you're painting, especially if you're doing it for the first time. If anything, I am proof that you need to overprotect yourself. So if you have an overall, wear that overall, or just wear clothes that you generally do not care for, because they will get paint. Use tape around the walls, although I was very messy even with tape, so the tape helped a lot. Use the black paper that I showed you guys. It goes for just 100 shillings per meter. I bought two. And then cover your hair if you need to, if you feel like you don't want to mess up your hair. Do all those things. I would recommend also to cover your hair when you are sanding as well, and when you're doing the woodwork, because the dust really does come to your hair. Number three, always make sure that your surface is clean before painting. So you can use anything that is dry to just clean up maybe your walls and your floors just before you start painting, because it could be very messy when you start painting and you have dust all over your wall. You'll just be painting over the dust, and that's not good. So just make sure it's clean. If you have to use something wet, maybe a lightly damp piece of cloth, and make sure it's completely dry before you paint, because again, if you paint when it's wet, that's going to mess things up. Number four. Tip number 4, let the paint guide you when you're mixing. I know I said the ratio is 1:1, but that's not what I did. When I went to buy the paint, he did say the ratio is 1:1. But then again, I used my human eyes there was not measuring with any measuring cups or anything. But then he also said, the supplier I got the paint from, he did mention that when you mix and you try to paint on the wall and it's dripping, then it's not mixed right. So just add paint. But then when it's too thick, again, it's not right. Just add water. So just keep mixing until you get the right mix, but start with 1:1, ratio of 1:1. That can be your starting point. Then you let it guide you from there. My 5th and final tip is, and this is very important, if you're doing 2 coats, wait for the first coat to dry. This is where I messed up, guys. I was too impatient. I was very excited to see how the wall was going to turn out. So I did wait a short period, but I know it wasn't fully dry. So wait for it to fully dry before you do a second coat. Because when I went over with my second coat and the first coat was not completely dry, it was a bit messy. I had to do a lot more work. So just wait, be patient. Wait for it to dry. It's going to come out perfectly. I've got a bonus point. If you can be able to buy base coat, do it. I would recommend that you do it because I'm seeing a few mishaps in the painting and I feel like the base coat could have fixed it. For that one, I'm not so sure, so this is why I'm not adding it to my list of tips. But if you're able to just buy the base coat, it's very advantageous. Yeah. Oh, also, this one, last bonus, is tape is very hard to remove. You know how in the movies or like whatever you're watching where people are painting and it's just swift removing of tape? It was not easy for me. I don't know if I was doing it wrong. I removed everything, but just know it could be a bit hard. So last segment, just to mention what I used in case you want to do this project for yourself. I have them written down here. Number one, I used paint. 1 liter is enough. Did both coats comfortably and there was even some left. So 1 liter goes for 650 shillings. I bought the crown one. I have it here. This one. It was so good. It had no bad smell. I liked it. It does say no harmful smell. So yeah, do buy the crown paint. Number two, paintbrush was 340 shillings. Of course, if you're a painter, you already have a paintbrush. But I was a beginner, so I had to buy one. So that's a big paintbrush for painting that I used. The small one that I used to apply the glue on the wood was just 69 shillings in the supermarket. Ha! Still. And then number three, I used wood. The wooden panels were 20 shillings per foot. How affordable is that? So I used 68 feet. That's 1360 on my end. That's for my wall. I don't know how big or small your wall would be. So yeah, also it depends on where you go to buy your wood. I don't know if the prices range, but where I bought it from, it was 20 bob per foot. And then the black paper, I've already told you guys, was 100 shillings per meter. I bought 2. And then the filler, I bought it a while ago, but if I recall, it was 150 shillings per kg, and I bought 2, which is more than enough. I've barely even touched the surface with that one. And then sandpaper was 30 shillings. I bought tape for 120 shillings, but in the supermarket I went to check, it was much cheaper. Where I bought it from was where I bought my paint. And then the nails, there is nails. Let me show you. Okay, so for the nails, I got the actual nails that come out looking like this. So this is the actual nail. But then the guy I called to help me with the drill told me it was advisable to buy them with this as well. So these are called expansion pipes. So when you drill, you put this inside so that the nail has somewhere to just hold when it's inside the wall, and it's so much easier to remove when you're living, because as I mentioned, I do live in a rented house and I have to remove my entire accent wall when I'm moving out. So yeah, for the nail, the 2 cost me a total of 800 shillings. But I do have to mention, I did send someone to buy them for me, and I did not ask for receipts, so I trusted the person's judgment. So I don't know if it's cheaper or not, or more expensive. You can figure it out as long as you know you're buying the nails and the expansion pipes. Yeah, and then what have I not mentioned? Oh, for the drill guy, if you don't own a drill, or you do and you cannot do it for yourself, like me, and you want to call someone, I think it's up to the two of you to just discuss how much you will pay the person. So that one, price is up to you and the person. And then the saw, I bought the saw because I knew the measurements were wrong. When we were measuring the first time, yeah, they were off. So I had to actually cut the wood again, even after they were cut to size by the guy who sold me the wood. Okay, for example, remember these small strips that are horizontal were 65 centimeters each. So when I came to the house, I had not accounted for the length or the width of the actual wood, and even for that, I don't think that's what. Anyway, it ended up being 57 centimeters, so I had to cut all the wood. But thank goodness that the guy who came with the drill helped me with the cutting. So yeah, if you need to buy a saw, but make sure also it's sharpened because it comes when it's blunt. Mine was sharpened by the guy who sold the wood for me. These guys are good people, they're good. And then finally the glue. The contact glue was 350 shillings. Yeah, that's all I needed, guys. It has turned out beautifully. I'm filming this at night. The plan was to do it during the day when the light was better than this, but I love it nonetheless. But other than that, thank you guys for showing up, for watching till the end. If you've watched to this point, thanks a lot. Thanks for supporting, and I hope to see you again in other videos. Goodbye.